Hello buddy, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to do something a little bit more special fun, and that is predicting what I think how the US election is going to play out. In this scenario, so far, we are still like what, 11, 10 months, something around there away, so a lot of things can happen, absolutely. My nominees right now are Joe Biden for the Democrats and Donald Trump for the Republicans. The reason why I choose Donald Trump here is because obviously he is, I mean, if the Republicans don't nominate Donald Trump for the candidacy, even if he goes to Yale, I feel like the Republican Party it's in a situation right now that they kind of forced to do it in either way if they really want to win. So, or have it in the history books, the having the first president in jail, and that's kind of cool in sort of way. But still, do they want that in the history books? I mean, if Donald Trump is not nominated for the Republicans, I do think we're going to have Theodore Roosevelt kinda effect, where, if you don't know, I think it was the election of, was it 1912? I think it was. It probably was. Theodore Roosevelt had who used to be the president, and he let his vice president Taft, right, to become the nominee candidate for the Republicans. When he already had served his term, Roosevelt. And at this time, I think the president could sit for a very long time, several terms actually, until the Franklin Roosevelt changed that. Or was it Harry Truman? When the one person who can, excuse me, the one president could sit for 2 terms only instead of unlimited terms. So Howard Taft, right? That was the name, right? William Taft, or was it Howard Taft? I think it was Howard Taft. A little bit. Remove the site of the history book for me right now. So basically, Taft was chosen to be the nominee for the Republicans, but he wanted to diverse from the Theodore Roosevelt's ideas and politics so much that they practically became like not enemies but rivals. So Theodore Roosevelt went on to create this new party, was it the Progressive Party or something like that, where they used a moose as a symbol, and that election in 1912 pretty much just throw it into the hands of the Democrats and Woodrow Wilson. I mean, he wouldn't win otherwise. If Theodore Roosevelt was nominated for the Republicans, the Republicans probably would win. But Theodore Roosevelt practically threw the presidency to the Democrats and Woodrow Wilson, and at this time the Democrats were not really the nicest people. They are not the same parties as today, where they are pretty open and left-leaning. Back then they were really conservative, and they were and Woodrow Wilson wasn't really an idea. Like, you think Donald Trump is a controversial figure or racist or fascist, if you want to call him that, like, you don't know. You just do not know what those words are, and if you think Donald Trump is a fascist sort of thing, yeah, racist, yeah, not really. So anyway, let's jump into this. Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. I've said it before, 2016's election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I saw it, I could see that for miles away. I was like, Donald Trump is going to win. Even before he was nominated, even before the primaries, I was like, Donald Trump is going to win. There's no debate. And everybody was just, you fascist, you racist, you're supporting him. No, I'm not supporting him. I'm telling you the fact that he is going to win. And guess what? He won big time in 2016. And I was like, I told you so. But you just didn't want to listen. And still, they didn't want to listen. They were like, oh, World War III is going to happen. So I was like, yeah, whatever. Then 2020 was honestly a really boring election. Like, debates was a little bit spicy, but compared to 2016, they were just boring as hell. But probably because at the time, there was much more important things, like the specific virus and the pandemic. So unfortunately right there for Donald Trump, I think the virus and the pandemic was in such a high what you call attention, the high, the what you call now, the height of attention for the pandemics was pretty high compared to many other things like the economy and immigration politics and that sort of thing. Now, however, after the pandemic, and we see the absolute influx of immigration or migrants, whatever you want to call them, refugees. Not really. I don't see them as refugees. They're not fleeing wars. They are probably fleeing poverty. But honestly, you can fix it back home. Just get rid of your corrupt politicians. So yeah, immigration is going to play a huge role in the US because especially the blue-collar people, basically middle-class working people, are going to be a little bit panic about that. And the inflation is rapidly, well, it has started to stabilize and go down here and there in Europe at least. But I don't know how it is in the US. But I can imagine it's still pretty expensive to have a basic living standard. So compared to under the years of Trump, compared to even maybe Obama, maybe. So it's going to be interesting, this election. And the reason why it also is a very interesting a hyped election is because of Trump again. Like, will he go to jail? If he does go to jail, will he still run for presidency? Will he win? Will the Republicans want Donald Trump as their nominee, or are they going to choose another one? And if that is the case, will Donald Trump create a new party, and will we see something like the Theodore Roosevelt effect, where Joe Biden might have a chance to win the presidency again? It's gonna be interesting, really interesting. But in this scenario, Donald Trump does not go to jail, or he might go to jail, but he gets which I probably also believe, if Donald Trump is going to jail, if he's going to have some sort of leave, like permission to leave the prison to go out for campaigning and that sort of thing. Possibly, maybe, I don't really know the laws of the US when it comes to that. But anyway, this scenario, Donald Trump does not go to jail. The Republicans nominate him. So let's see now, which states can I pick out right now that is pretty much a guarantee win for Donald Trump. Obviously, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Nebraska as a whole, Nebraska first district, I think it is, are safe guarantees for Donald Trump. Kansas, yeah, Oklahoma, absolutely, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Iowa, let's not choose Iowa right now, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, and let's see now, Utah probably. Maybe not a guarantee. South Carolina, North Carolina, West Virginia, I'm gonna probably throw in Ohio and Indiana. So these are the guarantee states to vote for Donald Trump, or Donald Trump is going to guarantee to win these states. Let's go over to the Democrats. So guaranteed states to win for Joe Biden and the Democrats is obviously California, Hawaii, Oregon, Washington. Let's see now what else. New York, Vermont, I think it is. Yes, New Hampshire, Maine as a whole, probably. Maine first district, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, DC, probably. Wisconsin, I'm gonna say that it's a safe bet for the Democrats, including Minnesota. So these are the states that are safe bets, like guaranteed to vote for the Democrats and Joe Biden. Now we're entering the real stuff. Well, I can probably throw in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island for Democrats as well. And so far, as we can see, Joe Biden is leading with 188 against Donald Trump 149, and they need 270 for a majority and to win. So Republicans will probably win the Maine 2nd district, and the Democrats are going to win Nebraska. I think it's the 2nd district they're called. The 2nd to 1st district, something like that. So let's go over to the more Republican safe states as well. Like these states are not like guaranteed to be a win for Donald Trump, but they are going to be not swing states, more like they are very likely to vote for a specific candidacy, and Texas is probably going to be a safe bet for Donald Trump and the Republicans, including Florida. Now this leave a lot of gain for Donald Trump with around 220, so he's pretty close. He's only needing 40 more seats, which is not that far. Iowa, I would probably say it's a safe bet for the Republicans. Oh, now we're entering the real stuff. Utah, probably a safe bet for the Republicans. Alaska, also a pretty well, yeah. Maybe a guarantee state, because Alaska has been a Republican state for a long time. But well, I'm gonna give it a likely status, like you're going to vote for Donald Trump. Let's see, let's go over to Biden and the Democrats. Now, here the big stuff is going to happen. Colorado is a likely state to vote for the Democrats. New Mexico also probably going to vote for the Democrats. Virginia, the Old Dominion state, absolutely. Though I think maybe I will enter it into more like a maybe not a what are you calling it now, a guard state, if you want to call it like that. That the Democrats are going to keep their status there, not really lose that much. But I think the Republicans might be gaining there, but the Democrats are still going to hold the states. I think I'm mostly basing this on not only just the historical elections, but also the opinion right now. And as right now, in opinion-wise, nationwide, Donald Trump is the favorite to win as of now in many states. I could probably throw in maybe Illinois. Yeah, I'm probably going to leave it more like a very narrow win for the Democrats, I think. So that this leaves the Democrats in Joe Biden to 246 electoral votes and Donald Trump 245, so it's pretty close to both of them. Now also the real thing is happening, and that is the swing states. And right now, the big fives, basically. So we have Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. Now, the polls, in opinion, yes, we can't really trust them that much, but it's the closest thing we can pretty much get to any kind of scenarios or image, or what you call them, like we're calling it inblick in Swedish, looking into it, the future in a sort of way. So Pennsylvania, so far it looks like Donald Trump is leading there against Biden. So, but even if Donald Trump or Joe Biden wins Pennsylvania, the one thing that is pretty notorious about Pennsylvania is their what you call it, counting their votes. That it takes really long time. I mean, 2020. I mean, how long was it? Like 3 days or something. We have to wait to Pennsylvania finally came out who won the states. So, and Joe Biden pretty much won that one. So, I think, if I'm honest, Donald Trump will win the state, but with a very narrow win for the Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. It also depends when Pennsylvania will call out who won the state, because as I said, last election it took a very long time, and if Joe Biden or let's say Trump actually won the state, I don't think it really mattered at that point because Joe Biden had such an advantage. Georgia, however, now this was a surprise in 2020 that Joe Biden and the Democrats actually managed to switch the states from red to blue, which was actually a good job on the Democrats' part. But how much was it? It was like 19,000 votes in between the Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So that's the whole deal when it comes to that indictment or something in Georgia against Donald Trump, that he wanted he wanted the Senate or whatever. I don't really know, someone who was in charge of Georgia, whatever, to find more votes, which was at that point a little bit already too late, if I have to be honest. So, but I do think, according to the polls, and also Georgia not really has, if I really am correct, Georgia hasn't really benefited from Biden and the Democrats these last 4 years. So I do think it's gonna be a very narrow win for Donald Trump. And as you can see right now, Donald Trump wins. He only needs Pennsylvania and Georgia. That's all he needs to win. But it also shows in polls that Nevada might actually be a likely state to switch to the red. I do think Biden won Nevada in 2020 and Arizona as well. So but at this point it doesn't matter, but still, according to the polls, it might be a Trump victory in Nevada. But I do think it's going to be a very narrow win for him, not a huge win like in 2016. I think he won that state, if I'm really correct right now. So Arizona as well, we have seen a lot of, Arizona and New Mexico have seen a lot of influx of refugees or immigrants in here and there, and it is indeed worrying, or how should I say it, not worrying the middle class a lot. So I do think Donald Trump is going to win the state, but also with a narrow win. So right now, 287 for Donald Trump against 236 to Joe Biden. Michigan has been a very notorious state. Even here in Europe, we know that Michigan is a very notorious swing state. So, excuse me, you might have heard that big crash and that sort of thing. My dog's just ramping around. As I said, Michigan, the polls shows that Donald Trump is right now the favorite to be favored in Michigan. I do think Donald Trump will manage to swing Michigan to the Reds again, Republican side, but it's going to be a very narrow victory for him. Yeah, a very narrow victory. So that leaves around 302 electoral votes for Donald Trump. Pretty much exactly this similar result we saw in 2016. Is there anything I would like to change? Not really. This is how I imagine it might be looking. It's interesting. I mean, obviously this is not the final result. I'm not saying this is going to win or I'm endorsing Donald Trump and that sort of thing. But I do think this might be the result we're going to see. Based on the opinion right now, and yes, we can't trust opinion too much, but these 4 years with the Democrats and Joe Biden has been, I don't know how to describe it. It's been like a very weird one. Like, you have the United States, very controversial, and if I'm gonna be honest and tell you this, if you're an American, so I'm sorry, but your retreat, your really tail between the legs retreat from Afghanistan was a stain on your honor, basically. You could have done it better, absolutely. Then you have the inflation, which has been, I know that it's been hitting the United States working class and lower class really hard. Like, I mean, the amount of not movies but videos and pictures we've been receiving from here in Europe about the poverty and the inflation and the standard of living, like, holy shit. So yeah, I do think that is indeed harming the Democrats' chance to win significantly, because a lot of people have lost faith in the Democrats, especially in the swing states. They pretty much lose their faith in the Democrats of running the economy. International relationship and situation, like the Taiwan situation, the Ukraine situation, and the Gaza war, is probably going to be a powder cake for the debates, especially the Ukraine one. The Gaza one, I think, is going to be able to end before the election starts, the real election start. I mean, the war just started not half a month ago, maybe it's 2 months ago, I think it was, and it's pretty much over. I mean, the IDF had already pretty much occupied the Gaza city, and it's probably going to be like that now for forever. So, excuse me. But Ukraine is probably going to be the main debate, especially for Trump, who wants to pressure Zelensky to accept the situation that Russia has dug down. They are not going to move. The counteroffensive is not helping. Well, they are a little bit helping, but the results are pretty poor. So I don't know how they are going to fix that, but I do know it's a very hot topic in the US because all the money, I mean the amount of money that's being sent to Ukraine is baffling. Even here in Europe, with all of the combined money we are shoving into Ukraine is immense. So military equipment, however, I mean the US has probably a massive stockpile. So Ukraine, as I said, Trump probably is going to like pressure Zelensky to accept the fact that you're not going to retake the Donbass region and the occupied regions, including Crimea. You're just gonna have to sign some sort of ceasefire, not a peace treaty, maybe not that, but a ceasefire, an armistice. Maybe they are accepting that, but that will pretty much exclude their chances of joining NATO and the EU. It's not going to happen with a ceasefire treaty or an armistice treaty. It's gotta end with a peace treaty. Otherwise, an entry into the UN and NATO is not going to happen. The Taiwan situation. And the South China Sea situation. Well, the whole situation with communist China right now is a pretty worrying one, because yes, we don't want to see China becoming a massive superpower. They are a superpower, but a superpower that can rival, even surpass the United States, a democratic nation. So, and also the new BRIC, that economic and military cooperation alliance between Russia, China, South Africa and Brazil for some reason, is quite worrying. It's really worrying. Like, if they choose to create a single currency for their cooperation, I mean, that's going to destroy the US dollar, and they maybe not harm, it probably will harm the euro, but it will not destroy it as much as the US currency. So maybe it will be something like the Steam, what was it called now, Cyberpunk. Maybe the euro and the dollar is going to be combined and create a single currency for the Western society and nations, so that could compete with the Eastern one. It's probably going to happen in the future. Right now, maybe not, but it's an alternative right now. There's a lot going into this. So, as I said, the Democrats are going to have a hard election campaign. They're gonna have a tough election to, especially to the swing voters. They are going to have a very hard persuasion debates and that sort of thing to try to swing unsure voters to their side. I think right now a lot of the unsure voters are probably going to swing over for the Republicans right now, because they seem to have, because if you look at the years under Trump, the Trump administration compared to the Biden administration, you can clearly see which one was the more profitable for the US, and the standard of living was practically better under Trump compared to the Biden right now. So there's a lot of things that they can go up and down. I mean, as I said, 10 months, 10, 11 months right now. So the big question is, if Donald Trump is not nominated for the Republicans and he chooses, I do think he's going to, if he's not nominated, I do believe that he's going to create his own party. Now the big question is how likely he is to win in this scenario. So in this scenario, I put Ron DeSantis as the nominated candidacy for the Republicans, And Donald Trump, who's now in jail, is now going to run his own party. Let's say the America First Party, let's say something like that. So how would it affect the election? Well, it's going to be as well a very interesting election if that's going to happen. Obviously, we're going to go the most likely and secure and guaranteed states to vote for the Democrats and Joe Biden, like Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Virginia, a likely state to vote for the Democrats, all of the the northern states, New York, Maine as a whole, Maine in the first district, Nebraska for second district, Wisconsin likely, Minnesota guaranteed, Colorado likely, what else? Illinois likely. So these are the most guaranteed and likely states to vote for Joe Biden and the Democrats. Now, let's go over to DeSantis and work from there. Because if you look at the nation opinions so far, yes, can't trust them, but still, it looks like even Ron DeSantis is way more having more favor than Joe Biden in many states. So if instead just these two was fighting for the presidency, Ron DeSantis will also probably win, according to the polls right now. So the question is how much. Probably he's going to win. Obviously, Florida, very likely. Not like a narrow win, but it's going to be a likely Ron DeSantis win. Probably Montana as well, Idaho as well. Probably West Virginia, Kentucky as well. We are entering really hard situation right now. States who are favoring Donald Trump, I would probably put Texas as a very narrow win for Ron DeSantis. So right now, Joe Biden is leading immensely with 231 electoral votes against Ron DeSantis 90. So I think Maine first district is probably going to be a safe bet for Donald Trump. Probably a narrow win. Nebraska first district, probability, a likelihood for Donald Trump. Alabama, a very narrow win for Donald Trump. I would probably put a likelihood of Republican and DeSantis victory in North and South Dakota. Wyoming, I would probably put that as a likely Trump victory. Iowa, no, I think that's going to be a very narrow win for Donald Trump. Indiana, a very narrow win for DeSantis. Ohio, I would probably put that as a very narrow win for Donald Trump. Kansas, I think it's going to be a likelihood for DeSantis, including Nebraska, a narrow win for DeSantis. Oklahoma, probably a a safe bet for DeSantis as well. Missouri, probably a DeSantis victory, including Tennessee. Arkansas, probability a narrow win for DeSantis. Louisiana, I think it's going to be a very narrow win for DeSantis. It's starting to become very colorful compared to how it used to be. New Mexico is probability be a safe bet for the Democrats. Man, it's starting to get real hard. Nebraska as a whole, I do think it's going to be a likelihood for DeSantis. South Carolina and North. I do know Trump is pretty popular in North Carolina, so I'm gonna put it as a very narrow win, including the South Carolina as well. So entering really deep water right now. Mississippi. I do think it's going to be a very narrow win for DeSantis. Georgia, unfortunately, because of the big fight between DeSantis and Trump, right, as in this scenario, I do think it's gonna be a very narrow win for the Democrats, because otherwise it's going to be a hellhole for for the Republicans. It's gonna be a hellhole if this is the scenario. Alaska, however, Alaska is a pretty guaranteed state for the Republicans, so I do think that DeSantis is going to win very narrowly win for DeSantis in Alaska, close by Donald Trump. Still, none of the candidates have reached 270. The closest one is Joe Biden with 252. He only needs 18 more electoral votes, basically. If he wins Pennsylvania, it's over. As you can see, he's already won. So Pennsylvania, so it's really up for the big fives, basically. Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Utah is probably a likely win for DeSantis, a narrow win. So right now he has 173. Far off still, he needs 100 more electoral votes. Well, not 100. Arizona. I do think that Ron DeSantis is probably going to win narrowly in Arizona, and then Joe Biden is coming in second, and Donald Trump probably in third place. Nevada. Unfortunately for the Republicans, I do think Joe Biden and the Democrats are going to have a very narrow win in the Nevada, because the split between the Trump supporter and the Republicans are going to harm the likelihood of a Republican victory. So right now it's down to Pennsylvania and Michigan. According to the polls, Ron DeSantis has a very likelihood to win, especially Michigan. As far as I saw it, it might have been something else, some other states, maybe like Ohio that I saw. But if I remember correctly, Michigan was pretty high up for DeSantis compared to Biden. So I would probably get a very narrow win for DeSantis. So now he has 199, and at this point it doesn't matter if he wins Pennsylvania, because he is still nowhere near the electoral votes needed to become the president. And Donald Trump has pretty much taken 62 electoral votes right now. So, but I do think that it's going to be a Republican victory, but it's going to be a very narrow victory for DeSantis. So it might also be a very narrow win for the Democrats. It all depends on how popular Trump is in Pennsylvania. I can probably guess he's pretty popular in the countryside. So we just have to see. Georgia, however, still, if Biden wins that state, if the Democrats win, it's not enough. But I do think because of this split, the Democrats are going to win the state of Georgia with a very narrow victory as well. So in this scenario, no one wins. So what happens? Sorry about that. The dogs were barking. Where was I? In this scenario, if no one receives the majority needed to become the president, it's up to the House of Representatives, right? If I'm correct. But in this scenario, Joe Biden will become the president of the United States. He will serve a second term, because whoever have the most electoral votes does have the highest chance of becoming the president in the House of Representatives. I think it is. Is that? I don't think the Senate is choosing. I do think it's the House of Representatives. So that's probably a likelihood, if I remember correctly, because doesn't each, or is it the Senate? I don't really remember exactly, because doesn't each senator get each vote equal to 50 votes or something like that? I don't remember exactly. It was some really long time ago since I learned about the US electoral system and that sort of thing. But if I remember correctly, the House of Representatives will choose the president, and because Joe Biden has the highest amount of electoral votes, he's going to win he's going to gain the favor of the Senate, the Congress, and that sort of thing, and everything else, and he will become the president. So this is the scenario if Trump choose to become a third party running from jail. So it's just a likelihood, maybe. It's possible DeSantis could still win narrow in North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, probably Wyoming, maybe Iowa. No, Iowa and Ohio. He could still win narrowly with them, and then he will become president. He will have the biggest chance. But as I said, the split between the Trump supporter and the Republicans will probably cost them the win, especially in Arizona, with a narrow win for the Democrats. And at this point, still, Joe Biden would become the president because he has three more electoral votes than Ron DeSantis. So this election is going to be wild. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I know it's not it's certainly nowhere near an proper outcome of the election that's going to be held in 10-11 months from now. So anything can happen, absolutely. So it's going to be a really exciting election to witness. 2016 was just one of those once in a lifetime elections, and this one is going to be just a perfect sequel. So anyway, thank you all for watching. See you all later.